inside us is like fire they can't touch. Glory rests on our lips. This rebellion is so savage.
Everything is glorious, we stand victorious. We do this for notorious rebels and warriors. The fire in me is higher than me. It's an eye view eyeing me, I'm a king. It's a lion inside of me.
Hey, when you think of the word church, what pops into your mind? Do me a favor, take 1 second, turn to the person next to you and just share with them, when you hear the word church, what's the first thing you think of?
Two hours later.
Well, hopefully you don't think church is boring. We do the best we can here to make SSM an exciting place that you want to be. And a lot of times when people think of church, they think that it's just a building. It's this place that we go to, or maybe it's kind of like an ornate, like an Orthodox or a Catholic church or something like that. Now, when we think of church and what we hope you think church is that church is a place that's a collection of people who love Jesus Christ and live their lives to serve him, or to live their lives to imitate or look like him. That's what church is all about. It's this collection of people. And this series that we're covering for the next few weeks is called Church in the Wild, of what does it look like for you to jump into this church thing or this Jesus thing, and then to go out into the world and to live it out. What does it look like for you to know who Jesus is and then to act on it? And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about one-way tickets. Now, if you've ever been on an airplane before, you know that you go and you buy a ticket, and that's a ticket that gets you to your destination, and then it's one that hopefully, if everything goes right, gets you home. But a one-way ticket would be making a choice to go, I'm going to this place, not really knowing where I'm staying or what I'm going to, or at least what the end is going to look like. A one-way ticket is going, I'm all in with no plans to turn around, no plans to look back, no plans to change your mind of like, I'm 100% in. Buying a one-way ticket somewhere is saying I'm 100% in for whatever we're going towards or whatever is going to happen next. So here's the deal. If you buy a one-way ticket somewhere, I got some tips for you. I have some ideas of how, if you're gonna buy a one-way ticket, some thoughts on maybe what you should do or how you should prepare for this journey. The first thing is, if you're going to buy a one-day ticket, well, you gotta be all in. You've gotta jump all in. All right, so you jumped all in and you bought a one-way ticket. Now, that can be a little scary, right? To go, I'm gonna buy a ticket to this one destination with no plans to come back. Well, that can cause a little frustration. It maybe causes some anxiety or some fear of, well, what's gonna happen? If I'm going all in and you're jumping all in and you're buying a one-way ticket somewhere, then what? What am I gonna do? It can be something that's a little bit terrifying. But here's the deal. The ticket that we're talking about this week is the relationship with Jesus Christ. We're saying, if you want to start a relationship with Jesus Christ, you need to buy that one-way ticket and you need to jump all in. And that can be a little scary and a little frustrating even at points. But the truth is that freedom in that one-way ticket that we can buy is found by understanding who Jesus is and where that one-way ticket is leading us. That one-way ticket is leading you to eternal life with Christ. And if we truly believe that, if we truly believe that Jesus is who he says he is, well, that relieves some of that stress. That relieves some of that frustration or that temptation even. See, Jesus says that we are supposed to look like him. God says that we're supposed to resemble him. And if we're buying a one-way ticket, which is a relationship with Jesus Christ, well, that's something that hopefully soothes some of that anxiety and soothes some of that fear, because Jesus didn't come to hold us back. Jesus didn't come to restrict us. Jesus came to give you a rich and satisfying life. Jesus says you're not supposed to look like the way the world does. See, we weren't created for the world. We were created for everything that happens afterwards. You and I were created to be in a relationship with Jesus. So choosing to be in a relationship with him is buying that one-way ticket and going, I'm all in, I'm sold out for whatever is going to happen next. And being fully committed, jumping all in and going, I'm all in for whatever happens next. In Romans 12:2, it's on your outline and on the screens. It says, don't copy the behaviors and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. John 10:10 says, the thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. So if that's what you want for your life, that rich and satisfying life that Jesus is saying that you will have for eternity, well then jump in, buckle up, buy a one-way ticket because we've got somewhere exciting to go. And that exciting place that we're going to go is eternity with Christ. So your second thing is if you're going on a trip and you're taking a one-way journey and you jumped all in, well, a good idea would be to bring a guide along with you, to trust the guide. So if you bring a guide along with you, well, there's somebody to show you where to go. It's somebody that's gone before you and gone like, hey, don't do that or don't make that mistake. A guide is somebody with experience. A guide is somebody who cares about your well-being and cares about your outcome of your trip, of your one-way ticket, and what's going to happen to you. Your friends, your family even sometimes, they love you and care about you, but they don't have the same perspective. See, if you're looking for a guide for your one-way trip, well, your guide is Jesus. If we're called to live and look and resemble Jesus, then your best guide to help you on your one-way trip is Jesus Christ. Which means you might have to let go of your friends or what you think they're thinking about you or how they're responding to what you know God's telling you to do. If Jesus is your guide, you're going to have to kind of let some of those things go, which is hard. It's hard to go, oh, I don't need, you don't want to say it, but you don't want to say like, I don't care about you or what you are thinking about me or what you want for me because you love those people. But if you're jumping in and you're bringing a guide along with you and Jesus is your guide, well, you need to trust him. You've got to trust that guide, that he has your best intentions in mind. But here's the deal, and this is a very, very important piece, is as Jesus as your guide and you jumping all in, that doesn't mean that life is easy. That doesn't mean that just because Jesus is your guide that you're not going to come across any storms. See, if Jesus is your boat captain and you're on the boat, well, he's going to be able to tell you a storm's coming. Throw that life jacket on and be prepared for what's ahead. Not that it's going to be easy, but you can be prepared for it. Or if you've ever flown on a plane, the pilot will tell you ahead of time, like, hey, we're about to go through a section of turbulence. So put your seatbelt on, buckle up, because it's going to get rough. He doesn't say, oh, we're going to do something else. Don't worry, everything's going to be easy. You're never going to notice any hiccups. They said, okay, now's when you put the seatbelt on. This is when you need to prepare and dig in deep because things are about to get rocky. But if you trust me, well, then I will help you navigate through whatever the storm is ahead. And if Jesus is your guide, he's going to sit alongside you and go, buckle up. Big things are about to happen. Isaiah 43:2 says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep you over. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. Underline the word when. When you pass through. Not if you pass through, or maybe quite possibly there's a chance that you might not ever have to deal with anything. No. In Isaiah, it says very clearly, you will go through things. And when they happen, that God will be standing alongside you, that God will be with you. So underline that word, when. Now, in my own life, there's a lot of times where I've had plans, and I thought the plans were even great plans with really good intentions. See, I had a goal when I was in junior high and in high school. I thought, well, I'm going to join the military. I'm going to serve in the armed forces. I want to be an Air Force pilot. And I love Jesus, and I want to do ministry on the side, or maybe even be a chaplain. I kind of had all these thoughts in my mind, and I was doing really great. I played football and I did track, and I was being looked at by colleges already as a sophomore, as a junior in high school. And then one day I got hit playing football in a weird position and I fractured a vertebrae in my back. And that was it. Sports were over. That one moment, my sports were done. My competitive sports were done for the rest of my life. My plans, well, they all got shook up. And I was questioning, like, why would God do this to me? Or what is going to happen next? I was fearful. I had a plan. I knew what I was going to do. And now all of it was gone. And I was questioning, well, what is next? But I had to remember, as I'm looking back now, well, I had Jesus along with me. And I had people in my life who loved me and cared for me and were guiding me and pouring into me. But being able to listen to God and have people challenge me and go, where is God calling you to go? What is God saying to you right now? Well, I knew that God was calling me towards ministry, to do this, to be here and sharing who God is with you. That's where I knew God was calling me to go. And as terrible as breaking your back is, as terrible as losing all of your plans and all that, well, now 20 years later, whatever it is, because I'm old, I can look back, I see God in those moments. At the time, I didn't. At the time, I just thought, what the heck's going on? But now, 20 years later, I can look back and go, oh, that's where God was. He was in that. He was next to me. He was with me. He was guiding me. In the moment, it felt terrifying. But if you trust and rely on your guide, they will help you through stormy seas. You're getting ready to go on your trip. You've bought your one-way ticket. You've jumped all in. You have a guide ready to help you out. Well, the next thing you got to do is pack your bags. But you don't need to pack unnecessary things, right? You need to leave the extra baggage out of your luggage. So here's the deal. When I pack for a trip, I always kind of think of like worst case scenario a little bit. I definitely overpack. I've had some experiences where I've needed extra things or been short underwear or socks, or I've just needed something and now I'm like, I gotta pack like 4 or 5 extras and I just gotta be ready. If you were to look in my backpack at any given moment, I just have things in there. I have medication and I have matches and I have things because I'm always like, I just might need that. So let me just throw it in there. My backpack right now is full of junk. And when we pack on a trip and if you're going on this one-way trip and you're jumping all in, well, sometimes you got to leave some of that baggage behind. You got to leave some of that junk behind. So if you're going to go climb Mount Everest and you're carrying your bowling ball because there might be a great opportunity to hit some strikes before you get up the mountain, well, that's unnecessary for your trip. That's not packing correctly. You're carrying baggage with you unnecessarily. If you are going to Hawaii for vacation, you're not going to bring your parka because there won't be snow. That's not a thing. So you might have extra baggage that you want to carry with you, or you're unnecessarily feeling like I have to carry this with me just in case or as a safety net. Well, in the situation we're talking about, where we're jumping all in with Jesus, you need to leave your baggage behind. When we buy this one-way ticket, there are choices and things that you're going to have to say, I need to intentionally leave this and not bring it with me. See, the Holy Spirit lives inside you, and we talked about the fruits of the Spirit recently, the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, which means you're equipped, you're ready. Jesus has already given you those gifts. He has already packed your bag with those things which have prepared you and are preparing you for the trip ahead. But we decide to carry extra baggage of jealousy, of fear, of resentment, of insecurity, of things that we carry with us unnecessarily. And God says, well, I created you with a purpose. I designed you intentionally. I'm giving you all of these gifts. I'm coming alongside you to guide you. You don't need all that. You're going to have to make a choice to set some of the baggage behind. Set some of the things that the world has told you are truths that are not truths behind. To pick up the truths of who God is and what he says for you. In the Bible, Jesus chose one of his disciples and his name was Matthew. And he was a guy that everybody looked at and said, not that guy, right? He was a tax collector. And a tax collector at that time, well, they were the most corrupt. They were the ones that nobody wanted to be around. Nobody wanted to spend time with. And Matthew was the known worst of the worst. And Jesus goes to him and says, hey, come and follow me. And Matthew drops everything. He leaves everything behind. He leaves his family, his friends, his possessions, and he goes and wholeheartedly pursues Jesus. And right after that, Jesus is eating with Matthew and a bunch of other people, and the religious leaders walk by and they're like, why is Jesus eating with sinners? Why is Jesus eating with these dirty people that shouldn't be hanging out with him? But Jesus is saying, he made the choice to follow me. All of his baggage was left behind. He's not bringing this. He's jumped all in, and I am his guide. He's coming along with me. Matthew is a great example of how we're supposed to be when we jump all in to living a life with Jesus. All right, so the fourth thing on your trip, you have jumped all in, you've bought a one-way ticket to a relationship with Jesus. You have brought a guide along with you who is Jesus himself. You've gone, okay, I gotta leave some stuff behind. I gotta leave some baggage behind, things that I know are not truths, things that I don't need to carry with me. I've packed intentionally. So the fourth thing on your trip that you need to bring along with you is that you need to understand that there's always a price to be paid, that we need to recognize the cost of this journey. Because the first thing we bring with us, right, or the first thing we do is we jump all in. We buy that plane ticket, we buy the one-way trip, and we go, okay, I'm ready for whatever is ahead of me. I'm committing to it with no chance of turning around and looking back. And then we're bringing a guide along with us, and that guide is Jesus. And then we're making a choice to leave everything behind that is not needed for the journey that's ahead. And then recognizing that the journey isn't free. It might be free to you, but somebody has to pay the price. And just like anything in the world that's labeled free, well, it's not free. Somebody has to pay for it. Somebody has to make it. Somebody has to produce things. Somebody has to give money or time or effort so that you can receive this thing that's free to you. But nothing in life is truly free. Mark 10:28-30 says, Then Peter began to speak up. We've given up everything to follow you, he said. Yes, Jesus replied, and I assure you that everyone who has given up a house or brother or sister or mother or father or children or property for my sake or for the good news will receive now in return 100 times as many houses, brothers, sisters, mothers, children, property, along with persecution. And in the world to come, that person will have eternal